Hi there, and welcome to my video about how to select photographs for your website. My name is William Bostic, and my company is called Psychosites.com, and you can find my webpage at psychosites.com. So let's dive into it. Selecting photography or pictures, or just making a picture, or selecting a photograph for your website. Um, it's pretty straightforward, but it takes a little bit of thoughtfulness so that your website can scale the photograph properly as the user changes the size of their browser window, or they view it on different devices like mobile or a tablet, a phone, a tablet, or their desktop. That's part of a website behavior called responsive design. And in order for your website to resize things properly, there are some rules of thumb that you need to follow. So the first thing is there's a great reference on the web. It's by a company called elegantthemes.com. At first glance, you might think that it is specific to the Divi theme or the Divi builder, but actually, the things that are discussed in this article pretty much apply to any website that you want to have responsive behavior with your images. So I love this. I love this page. I refer to it a lot. I recommend it to my clients. It's elegantthings.com/blog/Divi-resources/ the ultimate guide to using images with Divi. Now, the thing is that the size of the image that you select depends on where you're going to put it on your website. So, for example, let me scroll down here. So, for example, if you're going to make your image a full width image of the page, then you would be looking at the specification for a one column image, because it's going to span the whole page. And here, the recommendation is to make that image 1080 pixels wide. And actually, as we dig more into this, you'll find that it's 1080 by 608 pixels high, 1080 wide, 608 pixels high. If you were going to do a half column, you would go with 510 pixels wide. If you're going to do a third of a column, you'd go with 320 pixels wide, so on and so forth. And you can look this up and see what's going to be the best image size for what it is you're trying to do. And down here you can see this also has the height part of the dimension. So the first number here is the width, the second number here is the height. Now, another thing to think about when you're selecting images is something that's called the aspect ratio. And the aspect ratio tells you proportionally what the relevance, or what respectively width and height. So the width in this one, it says that widescreen monitors or widescreen viewing, the aspect ratio that works best for that is something that's called 16:9. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that this ratio would say that your page or your image needs to be a little bit less than twice what the height is. So if the height is 9, the width needs to be 16. And if you look up this 1080 by 608, you'll find it fits this 16:9 exactly. If you're going to do a portrait, like a picture of somebody, and you're going to put it like in a half column or something like that, you can get away with a 4:3 aspect ratio or a 3:4 aspect ratio. But what we're going to talk about today is this single column image size, because this is used the most. When you have a hero image on your page, at the top of your page, ideally you would like that to span the whole page. And for that, you're going to want to use a 16:9. So you can look up this file, you can look up this website resource and learn all about these things. So now, how do you put this into practice? So the first thing is, you go to let's say a stock photography site if you're going to buy your image. Here's an image. It's on a website called 123rf.com. I searched that site and I found this image here. Now this image, as we look at it, you can buy it in all these different dimensions. But one thing to note is no matter what dimension you pick, the aspect ratio of this image is the same. So if you were to look this up. So one thing that I like to see is that if you're looking for a hero image or a full page width image, and you're looking for this 16:9, most of the images that you're going to find on stock photography sites are not going to fit that, because the majority of them are multi-purpose kinds of. So you could buy this image and you could put it into print. You could use it for a flyer. You could use it for a website. There's lots of different things that you could use it for. And so when they come up with the size of it, they're trying to satisfy a whole bunch of things, and they're assuming that you have enough of an understanding and enough of the tools to resize it to make it fit whatever your specific purposes. So this image, as we see here on the right, is 2,527 pixels wide and 1,660 pixels high. There is a tool that I love. So let's remember this 2527, and it is called calculateaspectratio.com. This is an invaluable tool. So 2527, so we're going to say, okay, we want a 16:9 ratio, and here it is. And so now here, we're going to put in the 2527 wide, 2527. And you will see that it automatically calculates, if you wanted a 16:9 aspect ratio, it automatically calculates that the height needs to be about 1421. And when we look at this, we see that the height is actually 1660. So we know right away that we're going to have to edit this picture a little bit. We're going to have to take some of that height out of the picture. And this picture will work, this photo will work really well for that, because we can see we have a lot of blank space here at the top to work with so that we can crop it. So we will go ahead and download this image. And we can see that it has downloaded. And then I'll come over to my file manager. And here's the image that it downloaded. And then we can also see, here on the right here in this particular tool, you can see the dimensions of it, 1660. So I am going to edit this picture, and I'm going to edit it with a tool that I love on the Mac. It's called Affinity Photo. It costs $50, very affordable. And here's the image in our editor screen. So the first thing we want to do is come up here to Document and pick Resize Document. And we're going to come over here. We want to make sure that that the ratio is locked. See, if I unlock it, I can change one of these and it won't change the other, and that is going to result in your photo being skewed. So we're going to make sure that lock is clicked. We're going to click in the size. We're going to change this to 1080 and hit enter. And we can see that now the height, proportionately scaled for a width of 1080, is 709. Now 709 is not what we want, right? We want 608. That's what was in the Divi reference. So we're going to tell it to go ahead and resize this to the 1080 by 709. And then we're going to come over to the crop tool, and we're going to change, here's the width, here's the height. We're going to change this height to 608 and hit enter. And now you can see there's an area that's highlighted in this photo. That is the height we need and the width we need. So, but you can see that the way that the tool has chosen to crop it is probably not what we want, because it's cutting off some of the animals here on the bottom. So what we will do is we'll drag this crop image down to the bottom, because like I said, we had plenty of room at the top. And now we have an image that fits our aspect ratio and our size perfectly as soon as we hit enter. Now the image is exactly 1080 wide by 608 high. And so now what we can do is we can export it, and we'll export it as a JPEG. Now, another thing to take into account is we've got the right size now, and normally this thing's going to come to, at 100% quality. And the problem with that is on a website, the load time for the page on your device is going to be strongly influenced by the file size. And especially of the images, because they can be really big. Sometimes they can be megabytes. This one's not too bad. It's 273 kilobytes, but we don't really need this level of quality for digital. This level of quality is probably pretty close to 300 dots per inch, which is what you would need for print. But for digital, like I say, you don't need that much. So we can dial this down to, let's say, about 70. And when we dial it down to 70, you can see the file size is now only 55 kilobytes. That's beautiful. That's exactly what we want. So now we can click on export, and we can tell it where we want it to put it. And what I'll do is I'll change the file name here so that we can tell the difference between our original image and our edited image. And so here I'm just going to say 1080 by 608. And then I'm going to click save. Now we can come back to our file manager, and we can see that we now have an image that's 1080 by 608. We can double click that to preview it. Looks good. And now this image is ready to upload to our website for a full page image. And that's all there is to it. Thanks for watching.